Hey, this is Stacia, and I'm going to share a game that I played at the Parma Chess Club against Elliot Cerna. And yeah, it turns out that, me and Elliot actually work together, and we see each other basically every day. And we play a lot of Blitz when we're on break and stuff, or maybe during work hours, but don't tell anybody. So, it was kind of funny that we had to play each other. Now, it might look like his rating's a lot lower than mine, but I assure you that Elliot is not without some talent, and definitely tactically he's pretty strong, so he is not to be taken lightly. He's also been on the rise. He was like 900 and then like shot up to like almost 1400 like after just like 3 or 4 tournaments. So I don't believe he's at his actual rating yet. I believe he's underrated. And he's also much younger than me, like in his 20s. Well, I'm in my 40s. So, there you go. I wish I could say I'm more experienced, but I'm not even sure that's true because I started so late. But anyway, let's go ahead and have a look at this game. So against Elliot, I went for my main stuff. I just said, hey, let's go e4. He played c5, which I don't think he's ever played against me, but I do know that he's been playing Sicilian. So I go d4, of course. I'm more than willing to go into a Morra gambit. So he takes, and I play c3. And here, the main move is to take and allow knight takes c3, and we'll be in a mainline Smith-Morra gambit. But instead, he decided to decline this gambit, which is kind of a good practical choice, and he played e5. Now, I don't think that e5 is the best way to decline the gambit. I think d5 is an interesting try. I also think that knight to f6 is an interesting try because after e5 and knight here, knight f3, knight c6, moves like this, maybe knight b6 and bishop b3. These positions can be annoying for white to try and prove an advantage. It's not so easy, at least not for me. So I'm giving him a weapon against me, but that's fine because I'm pretty sure I'm going to prepare in that line as well. So after e5 though, I was like, well, I could grab the pawn. And I did check this out, and I noticed that Hikaru Nakamura, I believe, just played this way. He just grabbed the pawn. I'm not sure if he took with the queen right away, because you do allow knight c6. But, I mean, if you just play knight to f3 now you're threatening to take with the knight, and I don't think it's, so easy for them to hold on. If they want to do this, I feel like white's just clearly better with this weak pawn on d7. And now it's the engine to make sure, yeah, white's +1. That's kind of what I would expect there. So, but, I like to keep pieces on the board, and pawns for that matter, and I like to offer this gambit more than once if I can. So I play knight to f3. Now this attacks the structure here, and it also develops a piece. I'm one step closer to castling. So I like this move quite a bit. He goes knight to c6, defending the same structure. And now I go bishop to c4. And I do have ideas here. Now, the idea is pretty simple. It's like, if you play e5, then you can't play e6. That's the idea. Because now that I'm aimed at f7, I'm actually threatening knight g5. And maybe it's not a real threat, but it's annoying. If I had a free move and played knight g5, he would go knight h6, and then I'm not sure what I'm doing. But if he went bishop c5, maybe I could go queen b3, and I don't know. There's ideas for sure of what you can do. So he did play knight to f6, which means that the knight is now not able to come to h6 because knights don't move like that. So definitely knight g5, I think, is the best move now. So I'll ask the computer what it thinks. Yeah, it thinks knight g5 is the best move, and it just gives zeros here. But I don't know. My opinion is that zeros make sense, actually, because I could go down a pawn here, but I think that I have compensation for that pawn. So I actually prefer to be white in this kind of position. But there is clear pressure here, right? Now, I thought d5 is the only move. I'll check with the engine to see. It is, in fact, the only move. Yeah, you have to go d5 to block the bishop from taking on f7. So e takes d5, And now here I thought if he plays knight a6, I actually think he's kind of fine. It's probably just a game. Now I'll show you what I was thinking in the game. I thought I could go check and he could go here and I could play queen a4. And then I thought if he takes, it's kind of funny because if he decides to block this way, I would win the knight. But he would have this move knight to d7. But in this position, I feel like black's getting a little bit tied up. Like, what is going on here exactly? This queen is needed to defend the knight, and are you going to play b6? And this knight's pinned. And I felt like I could play this position. I would probably just take on d4 here and go from there. But let's see what the engine says. Oh, wow. The engine says we're winning because of the move b4. Is that knight trapped? That knight is trapped. Okay, I would think that b4, they could play a6, counterattacking. Okay, and then can we, what do we do now? What do we do now is the question. Maybe I go here. Could they go b5 though? And if b5, I'm not sure what to do. All right, so that's the engine. Engine says, oh, I'm blind. We attacked that twice. We take it. If they want to take back, we're up a piece. Okay. So, wow, that is a sequence of moves that I did not see. But, okay, to be fair, you know, this is all calculation from this position. So, of course, I didn't see it. Maybe I would have seen it later. But I do want to remember this. So let's review it real quick. Here, here, and queen a4. And I just like this. And then if he does take check, he can't block with the queen, but he can block here. It's the only move. And then from here, this b4 move is very good for white. And then if they counter us, we just go here. And now that knight is attacked twice. And good luck defending it, right? I mean, if they block with that, we take with a pawn. But if they attack our queen, no worries, because we just take it. So that is cool. I learned something. So yay. That's the point of doing this for myself. So I want to learn things about chess. I'm trying to improve and become a master. If I don't learn anything, you know, how's that going to happen? Okay, so let's continue. After knight takes d5. Oh, yeah. He played knight takes d5. Forgot to mention this. Now, this is very reminiscent of the fried liver attack, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will show you, because I am interested in how this position is different from our standard fried liver attack. I don't think it's too much different. I can tell you I don't usually have a pawn on c3, and I can tell you, yeah, I don't know, something in the center is different, but knight takes f7 is what I played. Because now after the king takes, we have queen f3 check, which is a fork. And just like in the standard fried liver attack, there's only one move to defend the knight. And keep in mind that, like, if you play something like this, you just lose the game immediately, because I would take here. In fact, I don't even think I would do that. I would probably play queen takes just because I'm mean. And after queen takes, we play bishop takes, bishop here, and that is going to be a checkmate. So you have to be careful, but if you want to defend the knight, which is attacked twice, you must play king e6. And this is the fried liver. And grandmasters avoid this for the most part because, I mean, black is equal if they play perfect, and white is equal if black plays perfect, right? So like, so white has the upper hand here. There's like a bunch of strong attacking ideas for white and only a very narrow path for black to navigate to safety. So in this position after king e6, now I'm kind of on my own. Everything else, I wouldn't say I memorized it, but I had seen the ideas and I kind of knew what to do. But here I was a little more like, well, what should I do? Because I felt I had some candidate moves, right? Like I can play a check. There's some checks here I could explore. That's one thing. Another thing I could do is just simply castle. Another thing I could do is take on d4 and allow my knight to come to c3 to attack the pinned knight, which is definitely what I was leaning towards. I think in the game, I put castles in my notes, but I think I actually did take the pawn. Let me see if that's true. No, I did castle. I did castle. Not sure why I did that. Oh, because I didn't want takes and takes with tempo, and then there's also fork. That's probably why. So I think castles is a good move, and now I'm going to see what the engine wants. Now, surprisingly to me, the engine wants something that I did not think of at all, and that's the move a4. But in hindsight, after analyzing this game, I know why it wants a4. So if you want to pause your video and try to figure out why a4 would be a good move, you can do so, but it's going to be very difficult. Okay, I'm not even going to spoil the answer yet, because the move a4 looks very mysterious, but there's a very, well, the plan itself is not very deep, but I missed it during the game, and so did my opponent. It's a very strong plan for black. So that's why we're looking at this game, by the way, because I'm interested in that. So after king to e6, I just simply castle. So I'm kind of wondering about something, but I don't want to spoil it yet. We'll come back to it. Now he played bishop to e7. Now what do I think black should play? I think bishop e7 has some merit, actually. He's kind of saying that he's moving his bishop out, he's going to play rook f8, and that's going to be with tempo. And maybe the rook could do stuff. I don't know. It's probably not the strongest move, though. If it were up to me, I would be thinking this king needs to get safe, like ASAP. But you can't really go here because that would unprotect the knight. The queen no longer defends. So you can see that black's in a predicament here. I think I might prophylactically defend the knight with knight to e7. Might be a move I play. Let's see what the engine wants. Yeah, the engine wants knight to a5, which I think I'm going to have to spoil the surprise now. Knight to a5 is very strong, and let's understand why. The knight is attacking the bishop. The bishop is pinning this knight. I'm about to win that knight, right? I'm about to take and play knight c3. This is actually a pretty big threat, and after that, I can probably attack it some more even. But knight to a5 seizes the initiative on my bishop, and if I simply pull back, they can trade it off, right? No more pin. Now keep in mind that I sacrificed a knight, right? I sacrificed a piece, played here to pick up my piece back, and black defended it. That is the situation going on. So now it's up to me to use this pin to win my piece back and keep the king in the center. A move like knight a5 instead of bishop a7 solves that problem for black, because I can't really keep my pin anymore, right? There's only two squares. Both of them will lose the bishop and break the pin. So knight a5 is actually very, very strong. So this did not happen, though. He played bishop to e7, and now I went c takes d4, and I think this is a good move. Although it might not be, for the simple fact that black's threat is still knight a5, and also maybe b5, right? Another way to attack the bishop and break the pin. So, like, although I think that would still be a pin. So let's ask the engine what to do. But I like takes. After this, it says black's winning if they play b5 or knight takes d4. Both of these moves. Now, I was worried about knight takes d4 during the game. This is actually a good move that I did see. But I do think that black has to be really careful still. But they are threatening my queen. They're threatening to go in there and win my rook in the corner. I would probably let them take the rook. That's my instinct there. But I can't play knight c3 because black just took the initiative. I was planning queen e4 here. And now if I ask the engine, now it says b5 is the only move. Yeah, and b5 is now supported by the knight, which is super annoying. And the knight's guarding b3. So our pin is going to be gone, right? And once our pin's gone, then we're just down a piece. So I don't think it's as simple as the computer makes it seem, because it says -3 for black. I think that black will still have some difficulty getting to safety, but I mean, there's not a lot of cover on the board. But on the other hand, they are up material. So if you're going to have your king running around the board, you better be up a piece, right? So, and I want to study those positions more, but I'll save that for another video. So my opponent, though, Elliot, he played rook to f8, which is very logical, right? I mean, this is, you know, concrete chess. Like, I'm going to get my rook in the game and attack your queen. Like, okay. Now, I planned queen e4 here, which I played. And now he actually made the game-losing blunder because that idea of breaking that pin is the only real way to play. So, like, now it just barely saves it for black. He must go b5 now. If I go bishop b3, now he can play knight takes d4, attacking that knight. We're still trying to break that pin. That bishop cannot maintain the pin and exist. It's going to get captured. And it can't go there. So, all right. So I would just have to go knight c3 or something, and then he will take it. I will take it back. And now black is up material. And it's going to be maybe not so easy to prove that this king is weak. I actually think he should run this way now. And I feel that if he gets to g8, then probably, you know, white's just lost. That's how I would feel about the position. But let's go ahead and get back to the game. After queen e4, he has to find b5. It's his last chance to go for the idea of breaking the pin on the knight. But since he didn't, I am threatening knight c3, attacking the pinned piece. And, well, if you don't go b5, that is going to happen. So he went here, which is a blunder. This is the game-losing move for Elliot. So I hope he watches my video. He probably won't. Or maybe I hope he doesn't watch my video. I'm giving a lot of good advice here. All right, so after bishop f6, now it's too late to break the pin because now just boom, knight c3. And we have too much on this knight. He can protect with knight to e7, which he did do. And it's logical. But now I just played d takes e5, which I think is 100% the right move. Let's see what the engine says. Yeah, it gives it as one of two awesome moves here. It also likes knight takes d5. Pretty much the same idea. Maybe not. Oh, this is like an intermezzo, I think. It's an intermezzo, and then we play here. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, though, because now maybe we have rook d1. So, okay, but after d takes e5, I mean, there's just so many problems here. Like, rook d1 is a threat, but also immediately we're threatening to just win the knight. We're threatening to win the bishop with check. Like, there's just too much going on here. So he played bishop takes e5. So now I just go rook e1. Yeah, and, you know, rook e1's a little bit cocky, I must admit. I mean, probably I should just take things like go knight takes d5 and rook d1. I think this would be fine. Like, that knight is completely destroyed. Like, you can't do anything about that, right? So that would be a good way to play. But I decided to play rook e1 because I wanted to go f4. And I thought after f4, wow, I did not see this move, but yeah, I thought after f4, maybe he steps out of the way, and after I take, maybe he can run away. And now there's that. And if I take this way, I'm actually helping their queen, I feel. Maybe not. This is still winning. What am I talking about? This is winning. This is completely winning, right? I mean, I just won so much material that, yeah, all hope is lost. Never mind on that. So f4 would win too. I was scared I saw a ghost apparently because I didn't like something. But in the game, I played rookie. I'm so sorry. I have to turn my phone down. It's much too loud. Even though I do care about the texts I'm getting, but we're gonna have to wait after the video. But okay, yeah, queen d6, just trying to, you know, defend the bishop, but I think just f4 now. You know, what do you do? He went knight g6. I mean, I don't have a suggestion here, so any move, you know, he's basically playing correctly. He's not resigning. He's going to play on and look for tricks, which is, I think, what you should do. Right? Like, what if I get cocky and you play a trick and I fall for it? So, like, I was not going to be cocky, though. I just went, okay, knight g6 effectively just releases this knight. I can just win it now. So bishop takes d5, king d7. Now I take that bishop. Now I'm up quite a bit of material. Knight takes e5, and queen takes e5. And now Elliot had one last little, I mean, he really is a comedian because he played rook to f1. And I took with a rook, and he won my queen. No, I'm just kidding. Even though I think that's still winning for white. We just have so much material here. I probably should have did that. No, I did not. I took with the king. And after the king took, you know, we both laughed, actually. And I was like, I actually said out loud, like, I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb. We both laughed, and then he resigned. So, that was the game. But I thought this is a super interesting game because, I mean, I've seen this theme before, but I don't think I've actually gotten it in too many actual games where you can kind of transpose into a fried liver. And I still do have a question to explore here, which is, what is the difference between this fried liver and the normal fried liver? So we're going to explore that for a second. So in a normal fried liver, it would go e4, e5, you know, this Italian game, and then knight to f6 and knight g5. And then after d5 takes, knight takes f7, and after king takes, there would be queen f3, just like my game, king e6, and now in this position, I would have to figure out what to do. It's my turn. And what's the difference between this and the position that happened in the game? Well, I think it's that I had a pawn on c3 is one thing that I noticed because I couldn't get my knight to c3, but also there was a black pawn on d5 or on d4, but my d pawn was already gone, right? I think my d pawn is traded off already. They took it and played e5. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So now I'm going to switch between this and the position in the game, if I can find it. Where's king e6 in the game? I will find it. Wow. Did you guys just see what happened? Because, like, what? So this pawn, like, migrated here. Yeah, so actually that's meaningful, I'm noticing. I'm going to do it again. Yeah, that's actually very meaningful that this pawn launches itself onto d4 because often in the actual fried liver, black has to move this knight to either b5 or e7 to make room for c6, and the idea is to hide the king on that exact square c7 where the pawn would be. So that is an important detail that in this Morra variation, this king has c7 available right away. That's very important. It's also important to notice, I think, that I often want to play knight c3, but I cannot do that. I have a pawn here. So I have to spend a turn on pawn takes d4 to clear the square. That's also important. And perhaps that is why these themes of breaking the pin existed here. Because in a normal fried liver, I'm not so sure that those exist in the same way. So let's just find out. This is the normal fried liver. I mean, yeah, I would just go knight c3 immediately, just attack the knight. Now they can go knight b5 here, or they could go knight here. Let's play this one. And then here, wow, it says d4 is like winning for black, for a white. So what are they supposed to do? I mean, is this engine strong enough? Because it's saying knight b4 is the only move, which I don't think that it is. Okay, now I'm giving it more thinking time. And it's saying knight b4 is the best move, but white's better. It's giving knight d4, but white's better. And it's giving knight e7, but white's better. A lot better. I thought this is a real move, but it's saying after d4, like white is just like plus almost 2, which is very surprising to me. And then it's giving the move c6 to defend the knight, but again, create the escape square for the king. And now it just wants to take an e5. And the idea of this, a move like this, you know, just like without calculating, I can tell you that I would think about this move because I want to just open the position, right? And you can do that with pawn breaks and pawn captures. And I mean, what are they going to do? Take with a king? Like, you want to take with a king, really? Like, you can't take with a king. I would go bishop g5 just to pin this knight, making this knight vulnerable, and then I would castle, or castle the other way even. I don't know. I'd probably castle queenside. So I'm noticing there are some significant differences in the two fried livers. So this is what I'm going to refer to in my head as the Morra fried liver. It's the Morra declined fried liver, which I have seen in blitz and I will see again over the board, especially against lower rated players, I feel. So, yeah, but this theme of, I mean, I was honestly losing in this part of the game, which I will get to in a second. Yeah, like, okay, this is still equal, but even here, the engine confidently gives bishop e7. It does, because it likes this rook f8 idea. But it also gives knight to a5 and b5, both moves that deal with the pin. And I think that is the key idea that I missed, and so did my opponent. And now we understand why in this position a4 is the move. Because a4, you know, stops this b5 thing. And it does something else. If knight a5, we can retreat our bishop to this hidey hole now. So a4 is a very strong move because it stops both of the main ideas to break the pin, which are the moves b5 and knight a5. Knight a5, we hide the bishop, and b5 will not be possible because we just simply take it with the a pawn, right? Like, if they do this, I would just simply take it and say, okay, my bishop exists, the pin exists, I'm going to win your knight, right? I'm going to play takes and knight c3, attack the pin knight. Wow, it's really storming outside. Anyway, I'm getting kind of scared. It's getting very loud out there. But anyway, I thought this game was sufficiently interesting because the fried liver objectively is playable. But I think, practically speaking, no one wants to be black in these positions, which is why I gladly went for this whole thing. And I do think that I played well enough, although I missed that one key idea, which now I learned from my game. So I won't miss that next time. So this is Stacia, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.